we're back again, only now you can see we've got the entire wall painted with our one-dimensional stone. And the paint's set up and dry. It looks pretty good, except for this section around the doorway right here. What are we going to do with that?
We're going to make some three-dimensional stones out of some blue styrofoam. It's the 2-inch blue styrofoam that's used for insulation of walls.
Right, or anything else you want to insulate.
Right.
And you can find this at your local hardware store. If you can't find it there, go down in your basement. I bet you there's some down there.
Probably.
And what we're going to do is we're going to cut out these block-like stones,
right,
and we're going to place these around the archway. Now, when you couple that with the fact that this is a flat rock surface, we're going to have this coming out a little bit, and the door's set in, it's going to give a real nice three-dimensional look to this application.
And these are the straight stones that are going to be going up the sides of the doors. We're going to cut out some curved stones to go across the arc a little bit later on.
Right. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my trusty, handy saber saw. Some people call it a jigsaw. Some people call it a skill saw. But a saw by any other name is still a saw. See? And I'm going to make it a seesaw. Anyway, what we're going to do here is cut out these blue lines, cut off this blue foam along these black lines, and I'm going to do it just like this.
Oh, that didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long at all. It only took me about 10 minutes real time. It would probably take you 15 or 20 because I'm a professional and you had to buy this video. And if you notice on some of these rocks, I didn't follow the lines as closely as I should probably have.
Right.
But only Mother Nature can make a pure rock. And when Mother Nature makes them, she numbers each one by hand. That's the kind of craftsmanship that she involves herself in. Now, unless you're going to use these on your patio and serve cocktails in the summertime, you're going to want these to be a little bit rougher.
Right.
Hey, that reminds me of a joke. What's Irish and stays out all night?
I don't know.
Patio furniture. Okay, but anyway, you're going to want these to be roughed up a little bit, roughed up and sanded up and scuffed up. And that's why I have my good friend Scuffy McCurdy here, who is going to show us how to do this.
All right.
Go ahead, Scuffy.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a belt sander with a coarse belt on it, and we're going to use the belt, the sander, I should say, to kind of rough up the edges of the rock first.
Rough it up.
We're going to rough it up here. Taking down all the edges here, created some more surfaces, and now...
Can I just do one little safety tip? As you're doing this, you'll notice that this is producing lots of fine little styrofoam sawdust.
Right.
You're going to want to wear a dust mask when you do this. We're not wearing one because we're on TV. This won't hurt us. But those of you that are out there at home, you regular mortals, this will in fact be harmful to you, so don't be breathing this. Please use a dust mask.
Right.
That was a public safety announcement.
Very good. And now, we're going to use the edge of the sander here to kind of draw a line down the rock like this. And what that does is it makes this nice little ridge here, okay? Which, once that's painted, we can highlight that ridge and it'll give a feeling of three-dimension.
Also, when the light hits that, it'll make a real nice rocky type effect.
Right. So I'm going to continue on and sculpt. What's that?
It's my rocky imitation.
Oh, very good. We're going to continue on, sculpt some more stones, and we'll be right back.
Well, as you can see, we're moving right along. We've got these rocks in place. We've cut them, we've shaped them, and we've glued them on here with some liquid nails. And we've done that big rock, little rock, big rock, little rock. That's the way they would be put on there if it was an actual archway. And Kev is using the same painting technique that he used on the flat rocks. Kev, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I'm going to put some black paint where we took off the styrofoam with the belt sanders to create a little shadowing in there.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep the raised areas for the white highlight, just like we did on the painting of the rocks, except for now you have something three-dimensional to work with.
Okay. And it looks really good. It's really giving that three-dimensional look. It looks a lot like rocks. It's turning out perfectly excellent. And I'm not just saying that because I helped to work on it, although that is in large measure why it is turning out that nicely. But moving on here, we've got to do the archway up at the top. And all you do for that is you cut off a little section here, you put in a piece of blue foam, and you shape it to this curve here, and you keep working your way up until you get to the keystone.
Keystone is very important to our set because that's where we're going to put our little gargoyle.
Ah, I had a dream about a little gargoyle.
Did you really?
She was a gargoyle in my dream.
No, that's not very funny.
No, but it will appeal to that section of the audience that I seek to reach.
All right, here's our keystone.
Ah, Here it comes
And
now.
there it is. And that's going to go right above the door, just like that.
And the gargoyle will go on top of that. You know, this keystone, you got to make it. It looks like a little bit. It almost looks like a pizza shape. If this were to continue down, it would look like a pizza.
A little slant.
Right, except that it's been cut off here, and there's no pepperoni or mushroom on top of this. So you just cut off like a piece of pizza at the midway point, and that would be your keystone. Speaking of pizza, I'm hungry. Are you?
I'm starved.
Well, let's go out and get a pizza.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, you're buying, right?
I'm buying this time. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, stay right there.
It's time for Terror Tip number 1.
A terror tip for you now, boys and girls. If you want high quality fog and you're working on a low budget, you can use a home humidifier. That's right, a home humidifier. They're easy to use, they're relatively inexpensive, and they create all kinds of mystifying mist. Now, the nice thing about this is, if you put a little fan on here, you can get a nice big cloud of it. But you can also use tubes to run this to your favorite prop. I have here an ordinary skull found around the home. Put that on top of there, and we begin to see all kinds of fog coming out of the smoking eyes and the smoking back of the head. The possibilities are endless. This terror tip was brought to you by us. Coming, dear!
This is where we're going to show you how to prepare the door for the scene.
Right, so we've taken 3 pieces of 1x12 pine, and we're going to lay them side by side. We've also cut an arch on the top of our door.
The next step is to distress the wood. Now when you go down to the hardware store and you pick up this lumber, don't look for the best pieces in the shop. Pick pieces that already have some kind of imperfections in them. This will help in the distressing of the wood. Now Kev, what exactly is distressing?
Well, it's going to make the wood look like it's been around for a couple hundred years.
So it's a weathering process?
Yeah, weathering and aging process.
Okay, and how do you go about doing that?
There's a couple techniques. The first technique we're going to use is to use a belt sander to soften some of the edges and put some gouges in the wood.
Okay, let's get these out of your way and you can show us how to do that.
First, take the belt sander, and first thing we're going to do is soften up some of the edges. Like I say, take away that brand new.
And that's a coarse belt on there?
Oh yeah, good point. That's a real coarse belt, and it's going to take away a lot of the wood fast. Okay.
Okay, so the effect you're looking for here is what?
Well, to kind of round off those edges, to roughen up the surface a little bit, which is going to help prepare us for the next phase. And like I said, to put some gouges in there, make this wood look like it's been around for an awful long time.
Okay, like monsters and people like that have been grabbing onto that.
Right.
Okay, so what's the next step?
Well, we're going to continue this all over the board. We can also use the edge of the belt sander to create some gouges in the center of the wood too, which is also very helpful.
So you're basically using your belt sander to do everything that your junior high school woodshop teacher taught you not to do.
That's right.
But now you're doing it to the wood.
Right.
Gotcha. Method number 1 of distressing this wood. And I don't know if you can pick that up with the camera, but we're getting all kinds of nice textures and grooves in here that we put in here with the sander. The second procedure we're going to use to distress this wood is a little bit dangerous, and you're going to want to take some safety precautions. The first thing is, you should be doing this outside. The second thing is, you're going to want to have a fire extinguisher handy. Finally, you're going to want to make sure that you use the proper safety goggles to protect your eyes, and maybe a face mask. And you don't want to wear loose clothing. We've done away with those things here just to show you this procedure. When you do them at home, make sure that you use them. Kev, what's the second thing you're going to do here?
Now we're going to burn the wood, and that's going to take off all the soft grain and leave the harder grain standing. We're going to then wire brush it, and that's going to get rid of that soft grain. It's going to bring out the grain very three-dimensional.
Okay. So by burning this, we're going to take down that layer stuff.
Right.
Okay, now what are you looking to do here?
Well, as we burn the wood, you can kind of see the lines. That's the soft grain that's being burnt away, just like that. We're going to do this whole section, and then we'll get the wire brush out to show you exactly what happens.
Some of those darker lines there, the big darker lines, are showing the contour that we made a moment ago with the sander.
Right. Okay.
You're going to want to take your time and be very careful with this. This is not a procedure you want to rush along with. And if you're under 12 years old and easily catch on fire, you better have an adult do this for you.
Okay. There we go. Now we're going to grab the wire brush. And we're just going to go with the grain. Use the wire brush.
You use the wire brush to remove that softer grain that you burned up a moment ago. Is that correct?
Right. Okay, that takes a little while. It takes a little pressure.
It takes a little muscle.
There we go.
Wow, look at that. It's starting to look old already. It's still a little warm.
It is.
Be careful with that. So you just continue this throughout the whole board?
Right.
Okay. Well, why don't you get to work there?
All right.
We'll check back in a minute and see what the third procedure is. While Kev pretends to screw in that last screw, let me show you what we've done with these two techniques so far. We've got the gouged out lines along here from the sander, and the rest of this was achieved with the burning out of the torch. And I dare say those two techniques together look adorable.
Very funny. And also, we have these two pieces of horizontal wood here to hold the door together. And now we're ready to detail it some more.
What's the next step?
Well, the next step is we've cut out some hinges out of some Luan, quarter-inch Luan plywood, and we painted them black, and we're going to apply them to the door. You can use any shape you like. This one happens to look like a lizard.
But you can use whatever reptile shape appeals to you.
Sure.
This one looks a little bit like a newt, actually.
Yes, it does.
I wonder if it's Newt Gingrich.
Okay.
And you just screw that right in there like that.
Just like so.
Now, it's important to remember, this is not the real hinge. The real hinge is already been put on there, which allows the door to open freely. This is just one of those detailing effects.
Now we're going to detail it even more by using these little wooden plugs that you find at the hardware store. There's different shapes. These happen to look like little mushrooms. There's a little curve on the top of them. And we're going to put them on the doors like so. Like on the hinge, I should say. And
Looks like an eye.
Yeah, it looks like an eye.
An eye of Newt.
This is going to simulate that the hinge is being held on by these rivets. And I've already painted the rivets with a rust color paint, and in a moment we're going to dry brush the hinge to match. Okay? Now we've taken a little bit of rust colored paint in here, like I say, and we're going to dry brush. We have very, very little paint on the end of the brush. And we're going to start at the top of the hinge and just drag that down. I'm hardly applying any pressure at all, just pulling that paint down from the top, like so. And maybe highlighting those little rivets again, so it has kind of a rusty look to it. Okay? And there you go. And you do the same thing with the bottom.